We are back for another episode of Basch The Brain, brought to you by our great friends at Attack ATAC. It's like having a personal trainer in your app. If you're not born with the natural talent like Willie was, Attack is the app for you to help you level up. Video game stats meets real life training. Download the app, put the work in, find out your Attack rating. Willie, we got a lot to talk about.
What do you think my Attack rating would be?
For physical fitness, agility, mentality, or for video game fortitude?
For Fortnite.
I mean,
Fortnite
if it's measuring Fortnite, you're up there,
dude. I know it's dorky, but I just been doing it. I don't know. I'm bored. I stopped drinking too. That's another thing. I don't drink like I used to. So like now I found myself playing Fortnite. I used to make fun of people for playing Fortnite.
And you texted me at 7 a.m. before 6:45 this morning. And you're like, I'm ready when you are. I'm like, I got a call from 8 to 9 as soon as I'm done. So go play Fortnite for 2 hours. Like I would tell my son.
And I did.
Yeah. And you got a victory. So, you can't poo-poo that.
Big weekend on tap. Nice little coffee cup. Hey, did you know?
I found these on Amazon. So look at, it's an espresso cup, and this opens up. So when it's hot, you don't gotta touch the cup.
Hey, what do you use? What kind of espresso machine do you use?
At the office here, I have an espresso machine. At home, we have like a, Breville like manual machine that my wife actually like does the whole process.
Hey, so cheers. Hold up your coffee cup. Hold up your cappuccino cup. Cheers. I don't know if you know this. Both of us, you and me, got nominated for Podcast of the Year.
Yeah, I'm already preparing for you to win, but I think there's gonna be it's a rigged election, and here's why. Both Baschamania and First Word are up for Podcast of the Year. I think you're gonna win because you're the brain. But here's the caveat. Do Basch the Brain episodes count towards First Word? Then I share the Podcast of the Year title, even if you win.
Well,
and you get a piece of it if I win. So
I mean, maybe they should give it co. Now, I'm not saying I should win. I'm not saying anybody should win. I'm just saying, me and you do it together so often. It's almost like
I know. If either one of us win, it's because of the other.
Well,
arguably,
a large part of it for me is it's much nicer having back and forth on topics.
It is.
Right? I can do it. I can carry a show. I can talk for an hour just myself, longer than an hour, about wrestling. That's no problem. But it's fun to have somebody bouncing stuff off.
Yeah, and even like the biggest podcast in the world, if you're talking about Joe Rogan, Pat McAfee, Part of My Take, whoever, it's always the back and forth that people find interesting.
Yeah.
They want to know. And the one thing that I do think is crazy that only wrestling fans cry about this is when there's a bias. Like, I love that, like, Part of My Take, they're Redskins fans and Bears fans. I love that. Dave Portnoy, he's a Patriots fan. You watch these different shows and you root for them, you root against them, whatever you do. I think the bias makes it more interesting. And, people call you, no matter who you defend, people call you Penn State Willie, Michigan Willie. Not really Iowa Willie, but.
Huskers.
Husker Willie. Yep.
I'm close to the. Here's the thing. I was thinking about this before, because I know what our first topic is.
Well, our first topic is the asinine team point deduction, but
right. If you haven't seen it, Athens is wrestling while losing in a district duels match in PA State, for lack of a better term, playoffs to get into the next round. And I was thinking about it, and they cheered at the end, right? They cheered at the end. They lost a team point, and so they lost the duel. I mean, just totally goofy, and we'll talk about it. But I was thinking about, I don't really even know the structure of PA State duels, and I don't know if that duel was to move on to the next level. I don't know if both the finalists move on. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is. And over the years, I grew up Penn State football guy, right? And I grew up a lot of East Coast bias, East
Yeah.
Coast interest, and just along with I'm not a Penn State homer. I'm not a Nebraska homer. I'm not a PA wrestling homer. It sort of all got washed out over the years. I just, it's good. Yeah, neat. Penn State wins.
But I also
I like.
think like
I do like when Lehigh has a national champ because they're like a mid-major program. But
I
yeah,
do think too, people don't understand, and it's funny because I was talking to somebody about this offline. My relationships primarily all stem from Basch Solutions. Like, for those who don't know, I run a marketing agency, and Cal and the NLWC became clients of mine. So did Jordan Burroughs back in 2010, 2011, 2012. So I've been with these guys for over a decade, and it's not just Penn State. I've got Titan Mercury was a client at one point, Sunkist Kids, Oklahoma, the Cowboy Wrestling Club. But nobody cries about any of the other biases because of how much Penn State wins.
Yeah, I exactly. And well, two things. I think over time, you got into wrestling primarily because of the Penn State relationships, and you're close with those guys, so
yeah,
you're gonna appreciate and congratulate when they do well. But I think over time, you'll be less Penn State centric, and because you got like David Carr and stuff, right? I mean, you have relationships with a lot of people.
And even like the amount of people that like I've had Spencer Lee on here, I've had Marinelli on here, I've had Kemmer on here, I've had half a dozen Hawkeyes on here. Like, I don't shun people. There's some people I don't like, I don't have on here, no doubt, but for the most part, I'm pretty flexible with
it's and the other day I tweeted. Well, okay, last week I had a very rosy tweet of Penn State and how good they were, their winning percentage and stuff like that, right? I mean, it's like their winning percentage is like 96% or 93% or something as a team, right? That needs to be mentioned, right? And a couple days ago, I'm like, here's Penn State's current rankings. It was yesterday. Here's Penn State's current rankings. If they wrestle to the ranking, if they place what they're ranked, they're right on the cusp of setting a record, right? And I was getting ready to tweet it. And I'm like, people are going to say, Willie, Penn State, Willie, Penn State, Willie, Penn State, Willie. Listen, if it was Iowa with the same rankings,
correct.
I would say if it was Oregon State, if it was Oklahoma State, so it occurs to me, I'm like, people are going to be critical and say I'm cheering for Penn State, and I like that Penn State's ranked so high and this and that. Maybe I shouldn't tweet it. And I'm like, you know what? No. Like, my job is to give color and context to wrestling, and to the victors go to spoils. You want the love, you want the hype, you want the flashy stats, create them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's, and I make I'm not going to cover up being a Penn State fan. That, like you said, that was kind of my introduction, where it was Burroughs and it was Varner and Kale were my first clients. And then I started kind of following along, and I never went to college. So I don't have a direct college affiliation, which I root for. So Kale always made me feel like family when he became a client of mine and I went to the room. So I don't care. It is what it is. I like it. I think bias in podcasting coverage is interesting. If you want something else, I don't know, go watch Flow. They don't really have too much bias.
I think it stems from two things. It stems from people who are jealous of the success that other teams have. And that's not just Penn State, but if you're always talking about David Carr and always talking about David Carr and always talking about David Carr, people will say, talk about somebody else, How about the 12th ranked kid? It's like, you lead with the stars. And I don't know. People get a grip on it, but it comes from that, and it comes from the old fuddy-duddy
I do want David Carr to win it all at
Be
65, by
be
the way.
professional. Be you don't root for anybody. Well, I'm not rooting for anybody.
I am. David Carr, win an NCAA title. Another one. Let's go, Carr!
Hey, I know we didn't even hit our first topic yet, but on a side note, there's a lot of people talking about. Well, there's a couple message board threads and like speculation, like if Starocki comes back, is Keegan moving up to 74? That's what people are asking.
I don't.
Some
think
people
we'll
are saying he's
find
moving
out,
up to
but we'll
74.
see.
I have no idea if it's true.
If you want to, Carter was on here to start the season, maybe, or a couple months ago, and we talked about it. And I don't think he's going to make a decision if he does that till next year. And I think his success this year and what he does will play big time. I mean, you're seeing the ability for college wrestlers to become stars, and that's not going to happen on a wrestling mat most of the time. You have the exceptions like the Jordan Burroughs who can build an audience of 1 million followers and kind of never have to worry about anything else. For most other people, if they want to have success and they want to really build something, it's going to happen outside of a wrestling mat. So it really depends on what he wants to do long term. There's a couple big college duels I want to preview with you: Michigan, Iowa, and Penn State, Ohio State. Before we do that, a couple Pan Am nuggets, because there's so much confusion anytime you have something like this. Where a couple things. One, the Pan Am Championships have no bearing on the Olympics. The following weekend, the Pan Am Olympic Games qualifier, which is a once in every 4-year event, is how people can qualify their weight for the Olympics. So we need to qualify 57, and we need to qualify 65. All of a sudden this week, I'm getting texts and tweets, is the Nick Lee, Yanni wrestle-off not happening? I'm like, what are you guys talking about? So I text Yanni, and I said, are you wrestling this weekend? It's like, last I knew. I texted Nick, is the wrestle-off still on this weekend? It's like, I'm cutting weight. I hope it is. So
I saw some of that scuttlebutt, like people mention it on Twitter, but where did that come from?
Here's why. Because USA Wrestling put out a sham of a lineup for the Pan Am Championships that's 30 days after when they put the lineup out. So USA Wrestling submitted a preliminary Pan Am roster to UWW. I put it out and said, as of right now, in the middle of January, here's who USA Wrestling is allegedly sending to the Pan Am Championships. Instantly, I get text messages. Hey, I'm not going. Hey, so-and-so's not going. I don't think Berger's going. There's some others. Yanni, I asked about, and he said, I don't think I'm going to the Pan Am Championships. I think that was just a placeholder. Like, my plan is beat Nick Lee and go to the Pan Am Olympic Games qualifier. I have no plans to go into the Pan Am Championships. So I don't know why USA Wrestling is putting out placeholders when even the guys, and the PRTC texted me instantly and was like, hey, I know you said Berger's going at 70. He ain't going. So this isn't like a cancellation. That lineup just.
And one of the problems is every 4 years they have the Pan Am Championships and the Pan Am Olympic Games qualifier, which it like really begs the question, why the hell do they have both? And I don't really know the good answer to that. But you have to participate. The nations are forced to participate. And a lot of athletes just don't want to go.
Mm-hmm. RBY.
Especially when you have trials right around the corner.
Now, Roman is entered at the Pan Am Championships, and we know he'll be at the Pan Am Olympic qualifier. I asked him, and he said he is considering going to both. Part of that is because winning the Pan Am Championships can get you more seeding points and can get you a better seed at the Olympic Games qualifier, which could help your path to qualifying the weight.
I'll tell you what. I mean, Roman talked often about, well, I shouldn't say often, but he was open about, like, I get really big. I get really heavy. And so I was concerned. I think everybody that is in tune with it was probably like, man, how's his cut going to be? But he's been relatively active, and his plans seem like it's not the biggest deal in the world, that cut.
Yeah, he is cutting a lot of weight, but he's doing it well. He's doing it smartly. So he might go to both, but Roman entering both and him being on there versus USA Wrestling guys, it sounds like USA Wrestling is putting placeholders and that lineup's going to change. So I wouldn't give any weight to what that roster is right now. Maybe some of those guys will go, but it sounds like it's all placeholders.
Was there an allowance at the Glen?
I think 2 kilos.
Yeah, that's significant.
I believe it was 2 kilos. And
4.5 pounds.
Since we're giving information out, this Saturday at noon Eastern and 1 Eastern and 2 Eastern, if needed, will be the Yanni Nick Lee Wrestle-Off.
This Sunday.
Saturday.
No football this weekend. So
well, here's where they're doing it, and I'm guessing this is because there's 3 women's freestyle wrestle-offs. They're doing it at Regis University in Denver, Colorado, alongside the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Women's Championships.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming they're doing that because of the women's freestyle matches. You can kind of play to that audience with, some high-level women's freestyle. But
and
yeah.
They have the officials there and everything.
Yeah. So I believe it's going to be on Flow. Some people are asking about that. I believe Flow will be streaming that. So yeah, that's at noon Eastern and 1 Eastern. It'll be match 1 and 2. And if a third match is needed, 2 p.m. Eastern. Winner can then go to the Pan Am Olympic qualifiers to qualify 65. Zane Richards will be going at 57 because nobody challenged him to qualify that weight. And I believe winner of Yanni Nick will also be the 1 seed at the trials.
I would imagine so.
So, little couple golden nuggies. Pan Am talk, addressing the bias. Did we talk about the team point deduction madness?
No, we didn't. So 2 high schools in PA, Athens and Wyalusing. The head coach of Athens is Sean Bradley, who was a state champ around my era, I think 95, 96. He was a couple years before me. He wrestled at Cornell. Very good. He's the head coach of Athens. Wyalusing went on a run, I don't know, early 2000s, where they were really good, nationally ranked. But, they're not anymore. Anyway, that's the context. Northern Tier, Pennsylvania. And comes down to the last match. Wyalusing's up by 5. Athens gets the pin. They win by 1, right? Well, not so fast, because somebody on Athens' bench cheered and jumped on the mat. They deducted a team point, and Wyalusing wins on criteria. And it's just, to me, it's like, especially at the high school level, you're not always good, right? It's a community thing. It's tough for smaller high schools to have 13, 14 good kids in a lineup and have a chance to win a district title and get to the state tournament. It's a big deal. These guys lost out on that. The whole community lost out on that because the ref decided that somebody came on the mat.
And the other team that now won because they lost a point was cheering. And I'm like, man, I'd kind of be like, if we just got pinned to lose the duel, I don't know that I'm celebrating that much to win on a technicality like that.
Yeah. And, a lot of people are talking about it. Check my Twitter for the video of it. Like Scott Green said, Scott Green, Army West Point assistant coach, good friend of mine, good wrestling mind, in my opinion. He's like, it's actually the rule by the book. I mean, the guy, it's the right call. And yeah, it probably is. Would I want to make it? No. But the larger point, and what I tweeted was, change the rule that there's no team point deductions. I don't know. Maybe
Team point deductions are
the kid that jumped on the mat is banned.
Does any other sport in the world do team point deductions? Any other sport in the world? I can't think of one.
No. You know, eject the offender. One guy jumped on the mat. Eject the offender. Don't ruin the whole community and the team that works so hard. Don't ruin their opportunity to advance in the state tournament because of a technicality.
I had said that Cornell versus Brown. I did not watch the duel. I saw Cornell puts the final score out. Cornell 47, Brown -1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing. What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Penalize if
Somebody
you want for like I get that, but deducting team points is
Michigan State. Was it Michigan State? Somebody one year had -1 at NCAAs.
That's bad. That's bad. Yeah, we got to get rid of team point deductions. That is just
come up with a different solution. Come up with a different solution. Whoever was the offender, he misses the next duel or he's ejected or whatever it might be, but you're punishing a whole team for one error in judgment.
Yeah.
And the stupidest ones. Now, this was, I don't want to say it's egregious because it affected nothing. It literally affected nothing. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was upset. Nobody on the other team thought they were partying on them. They were excited, right? But the dumbest ones are like the headgear toss. Like, leave it go. Leave it go.
Yeah, that's asinine. We had to mention that. We had to touch on it. That is egregious,
well, it's hot
as you say.
Right now, it's going. Everybody's talking about it on Twitter.
Yeah, everybody's just sharing their disgust. Like, and some people, the only thing anybody can say is if you want to say like the ref technically made the right call, we're not 100% all just poo-pooing on this ref. We're just saying the rule is dumb. The rule is dumb. And not even the rule, because I do think you should allow that kind of stuff. I also think you should allow taunting in the NFL. But deducting a team point is what this is all about. The madness is all about deducting team points. It's not a secret.
Yeah, right.
All right, we got some duels to preview.
Big ones.
I guess we'll go in chronological order. First up, Saturday night, 6:30, Big Ten Network, Penn State versus Ohio State.
Friday night.
What did I say?
Saturday.
Oh, Friday night doubleheader. And I'll tell you what, Ohio State is a very tough team. They do not match up well against Penn State.
Well, I was thinking about it, and when I'm going through the rankings, and this would be a chore to do, but Penn State wrestlers are ranked so high that you could probably take the top 10 teams and say, what is the most matches that anybody is favored against, like favored to win? Like Penn State is probably 8-2 on everybody.
Yeah. You're probably right.
7-3 at least. And Ohio State's a really good team. They had some I actually called Anthony Ralph, the assistant coach. Different programs, I have a different guy, right? Like Nebraska, I call Snyder. Lehigh, I call Dylan. I don't call him too often, but if Penn State, I call Kale, right? Or Iowa Morningstar. You have different guys. Ohio State, I call Anthony Ralph. And it was yesterday morning. I was just sitting around. I'm like, man, Ohio State, they'd have a rough go. I mean, they got injuries, Sammy Sasso situation, this and that. They have so many injuries, and they're such a young roster. I'm going to call Ralph and pick his brain. And he was in a meeting, but Ohio State, for what they have gone through and what they're dealing with, they're pretty solid, and Penn State's still an overwhelming favorite.
Would you say, without thinking too hard, because now I'm going to focus on this today, off the top of my head, Iowa State, probably the most, and you could probably 3-4 matches make the argument for Iowa State.
Perhaps. It's something I would like to look at.
Because you'd say Carr over Messenbrink.
Because I was looking at, I was looking at, I do an article every Friday, What Willie's Watching, and I break down some of the big duels. And I was looking, I'm like, oh, Penn State, Ohio State, great. This is great. And I look at it and I'm like, this is going to be a woodshedding. They just don't match up well. And then that light bulb went on and I was like, Penn State's ranked so highly at every weight. Nobody matches up well with them.
I know.
I mean, so not that
Iowa State might be the best. Iowa State might
here's a
line
little
up
love
the
for
best.
Iowa. Here's a little love for Iowa. And the 1997 Iowa team holds the record with 170 points. And some people are right that 170 now might be a little bit, it might be easier to get now. Now nothing's easy. 170 points. Good Lord. There's nothing easy about it. But it might be, the rule set now might be a little bit favorable to reach that, considering takedowns and turns have a higher valuation, and therefore you can get bonus points easier. But the number one team was 170 points, 1997 Hawkeyes. They had 5 finalists, 4 champs, 9 total AAs. But somebody tweeted at me and said the 83 team, which was a different scoring formula, would have been higher. It would have been the record. And I looked it up. Listen to this. This is going to blow your mind. So right now, everybody's
1983?
1983. I have it pulled up, actually, because I was just looking at it a couple hours ago. Everybody's talking about Penn State. They have, what do they have, 5 number 1 guys? 4 number 1 guys?
Something like that.
They got Haynes number 1, Starachi number 1, Brooks, Kirkfleet number 1. They have Bo Bartlett number 2, Davis 3, Nagao and Bernie 5, Mesenbrink 7, and Kasich 12. So they have 4 number 1s, a number 2, and everybody in the top 12. Now listen to this. 1983 Iowa. This is going to blow your mind. At the NCAA tournament, guess what they had 10 AAs. Guess what their lowest placer was?
6th.
5th.
That's impressive.
The lowest placer was 5th.
That's impressive. That's very impressive.
That's not impressive.
Do you have the team in front of you?
Yes, listen to this. Tim Riley, 118 5th. Barry Davis, 126 1st. 134, Jeff Kerber, 5th. 142, Harlan Kistler, 3rd. 150, Nate Carr was a champ. Kenny Monday was a runner-up. Jim Heffernan, former Illinois coach, 4th. 158, former Hawkeye coach Jim Zaleski, champ. 167, Mike Sheets was a champ from Okie State. Oh, I missed it. There was no Iowa guy there. I boogered that up. So they had 9 guys top 5. No placer at 167. 177, Dwayne. 177, Dwayne Goldman was runner-up. You know, Dwayne Goldman went 2-2-2-1.
That's pretty dang good.
190, Ed Bannock, champ. Unlimited, Lou Bannock, champ. They had 9 guys top 5.
Penn State could do that this year.
You know what? I should have known they didn't have 10. I should have known because I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe, wasn't Minnesota the first one to have 10 AAs?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
Or was Minnesota? Minnesota might have been the first one to have 10 AAs with no champ. Anyway, 9 guys top 5. Unbelievable. You think Penn State's going to have 9 champs?
No, I have a bet with you 10-1 that, or maybe it's even more odds. I forgot. I go back and look at it. I say the odds that they have 7 finalists, and this was before
7
Van
finalists.
Ness got hurt. But
Well, Mesenbrink looks like he could. Let's go through the duel. Number 24, Brendan McCrone against number 3, Braden Davis. McCrone's been a surprise. He beat Van Treska, but then everybody beat Van Treska. Davis, who I was leading the train on the entire time to start. Very good. The only undefeated at 125. He's ranked 3rd in the nation. You got to take Davis at this point.
yeah, Davis. I think it's Davis. The next match gets interesting according to WrestleStat, with them predicting Buzakis over Nagao.
Mm-hmm. And doable, yes. Buzakis has that pedigree. He has that ability.
So,
mind not blown, but I got to pick Nagao.
Yeah, I'm going Nagao, and I don't know how much of that is just computerized. You know, if you look on paper, Nagao versus common opponents 3-1, Buzakis versus common opponents.
Yeah, I don't know how that. I don't know how that spit that out, because Buzakis doesn't really have a signature marquee win.
Here's why. I think it's because and this is, I got to talk to these guys and find this out, but Buzakis got majored by Ragusin. Nagao got, quote unquote, pinned by Ragusin.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the computer is just saying that Ragusin pinned Nagao, only majored Buzakis. So I think that's why they lean Buzakis over Nagao.
That could be. It could also be like results from a long time ago. Like his true freshman year, lost to Gable Fox, lost to Rayvon Foley, lost to Zach Redding. Sometimes sometimes those things carry weight in those algorithms.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think Nagao gets the W here. I think it's going to be a good match, though. I think it's going to be a close one.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a good match, and I could see Buzakis pulling it out, but I think the pick is Nagao. Now, 141, to me, it's the most interesting match of the weekend.
Yeah, by far. If you lean, and Bashada tweeted when I was talking about topics and questions for the show, he had mentioned this may be the only match that you can make the argument that Ohio State is favored.
Yeah, and from a rankings perspective, it's 2 versus 3. Penn State's favored. But from a pick'em standpoint, I mean, I really think it's a toss-up. Bartlett's undefeated. Mendez has one blemish, and it was sort of a weird one. Who was it?
Bartlett has been winning a lot of tight matches this year.
Oh, it was Cole Matthews, right? So
and that was like 4-2, I think. It was a close one. So
it was 4-2.
Yeah, Jesse Mendez has looked great all year.
He looked fantastic.
And the thing with Bartlett is people have been, hey, Bo this year, some close matches, this and that. He's also undefeated on the year. So, yeah, he's had some close matches. He had that real close match with Belton that went into overtime. He's had the earlier match in the season with Vince Cornell that went into overtime. But guess what? He's undefeated.
There's some guys that, if you know their track record, you don't get antsy about if they have a close match.
Mm-hmm.
Bo doesn't blow people out, even people, right? Cleveland Belton. He doesn't blow people out. He doesn't put a lot of points on the board. And so for that reason, if he wins 4-2, I'm not saying, there's something wrong with Bo Bartlett. If Jason Nolf strung together 3-4, 4-2 matches, you'd be like, that ain't normal Jason Nolf.
There's also something to be said about, I think Bo Bartlett is very good at wrestling to the level of his competition. And Bo Bartlett's, one could make the argument, his toughest win was against his own teammate, was against Tyler Kasich, who otherwise is undefeated on the year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He hasn't wrestled the top 10 guy yet this year.
Right. And that's probably where people are picking Jesse Mendez. Now, I think it's a true toss-up. I mean, style points, right? When this is what Mendez has done this year. 85% bonus. Tech, fall, tech, fall, tech, major, regular decision. Tech, 4-2 loss to Matthews. 4-2 win over Happel, who's top 10. Tech, fall, major, tech. I mean,
very
when
impressive.
When you see that, you're like, man, I'm leaning Mendez, but I don't know.
I think it's a true toss-up. I think this is, if I had no affiliation, because I know people are, I'm likely picking Bo, and I know people are going to say just because I'm a Penn State guy. No, because on paper, if you had to pick right now, and not just you, maybe the fans too, Real Woods or Jesse Mendez, I kind of lean initially Jesse Mendez because of what you just said. 85% bonus this year looks incredible. And then I'm like, but Real Woods, very much like Bo, doesn't get a lot of style points. He goes out there, he does what he has to win, and it's easy to not pick Real at times because you kind of get lost in him winning close matches. And I think Bo Bartlett is very similar to that, where he's going to win close matches without any style points, and sometimes the flashier guy who does get style points is easier to pick.
I mean, 100%. Just because one guy majors everybody and techs everybody and the other guy wins 7-2, it doesn't mean the 7-2 winner can't beat the guy who techs. I mean, classic was Dake Taylor. Dake beat everybody, 8-3. David teched the same guy 80 times, and Dake would beat Taylor every time. So there you go.
Given that this is a toss-up match, I am going to take Bartlett in Rec Hall. I think if this was Ohio State, I might lean Mendez in a toss-up. Give me Bartlett having a signature win of the season at home at Rec Hall.
It's a big litmus test. It's a big statement. Whoever wins this match, because if Bartlett wins, it's like, okay, they got a surefire finalist contender, right? Not a surefire finalist, but he's legit a finalist contender. If Mendez wins, it's like, how many other guys can beat Bartlett? Maybe he's sixth, right? Maybe he's fifth. But if he beats Mendez, it's like, okay, he's a finalist contender.
Yeah. And this gets, I mentioned that Bartlett has not had an opportunity to wrestle a top 10 guy yet this year. That's going to change because now he has number 3 Jesse Mendez this weekend, and then next weekend number 1 Real Woods, and then he has Mitch Moore against Rutgers, and then he has Brock Hardy against Nebraska.
I'll tell you what,
he's going to he's got a gauntlet this February.
And I said it on the first word a couple days ago. The Big Ten, if you wrestle for Pitt, if you wrestle for Cal Poly, if you wrestle for, I don't know, Cornell against Harvard, I think you want your guys to go, right? If you're staring at, this week I have number 2, next week I have number 7, the following week I have number 5, I don't blame Real Woods for not wrestling against Northwestern and Illinois. right?
Yeah. No, I agree.
And you look at the upcoming schedule for Iowa, Nebraska, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. It is grueling.
This is also his 6th year in college. You talk about, I've talked about this with Chenzo before on the podcast. When you're dealing with freshmen, you're dealing with 5th, 6th, maybe 7th year seniors sometimes, a schedule just looks very different for these guys. So you're not going to have the whole team when you have 18-year-olds and 24-year-olds on the same team doing the same thing every week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what's interesting? You said at Rec Hall. I wonder why. It's really interesting. Kale plays some games. It's funny to me. But so Ohio State comes to Penn State. Penn State has one duel every year at Bryce Jordan. They don't make it one of the traditional big dogs. They don't make it Ohio State. They make their Bryce Jordan duel of the year Rutgers.
Also on a Monday. The day after the Super Bowl.
Is it really?
Yeah. I had some people asking me, there's a couple different duels that are Monday. And my best guess is simply avoiding the Super Bowl and just doing it the next day.
Yeah. Ratings, I mean, Big Ten's pulling in some numbers.
No, I don't know that a 2:00 wrestling duel matters going up against the Super Bowl at 6:30, but that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, not sure why they do that.
But yeah, and it's also worth noting, in the last 10 duels, Penn State is 9-1 against Ohio State.
When did they lose?
It had to be. I mean, Cal's what, like 115-2 now? It had to be one of those two.
They lost to Iowa the year Kemmer beat Mark Hall at Carver, and they lost to Arizona State. I think he's something in 2 since, I don't know, a certain time, since like 14 or 17 or something like that.
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, since 17.
Penn State lost to Ohio State 22-15 in 2015.
Right, it had to be. But there's only 2 losses since 17.
Yeah. So it's 2015.
So, all right, next 49. D'Amelio or Kasich? That's a 9 versus 12 matchup.
I lean Kasich. I think he looks very good.
Of course you do.
The bias haters are gonna hate this episode. We started off talking about bias, and now we're previewing a duel where, on paper, you have Ohio State favored to maybe win 2 matches.
What's D'Amelio doing? I think it's probably a toss-up as well. It's 9 versus 12, so the rankings sort of indicate it's a toss-up. So, but D'Amelio has 6 losses already this year. They're good. They're not. None of them are bad. He lost to Henson. He lost to Parco, both All-Americans. He lost to Ridge, national finalist. He lost to Arrington, who was a blood round, and he lost to Cannon Webster, true freshman. So he gets another true freshman here in Kasich. I don't know. I'm gonna take D'Amelio, but no idea. No idea.
Bartlett beat D'Amelio in 2 close matches last year, 5-2 and 4-2.
He beats everybody close.
And I think that Kasich, again, much like Bo, this is Kasich's biggest match of the year.
Mm-hmm.
His only top 10 match was against Bo, and he lost 4-1. Look at it. If you don't like Penn State and you want to lean the other way here, I don't blame you in this match. Like, I get it.
I'm going to take D'Amelio. and I think Kasich can do it. I'm going to take Mendez, and I think Bo can do it.
Yeah. So you go. So you think at this point in the duel it's 6-6.
6-6.
By the way, that's what WrestleStat has at 6-6. Different because they put Buzakis over Nagao and Kasich over D'Amelio.
Right.
But
Yep.
and then this is where it kind of starts.
Going the other way. Or
So
you know.
you have Levi Haynes versus Isaac Wilcox.
Next topic pick there.
Yeah, Levi Haynes. Next topic. Messenbrink versus Hepner, which I think should be a good match. I think Messenbrink wins, but Hepner's tough, dude. He's very tough.
That's Messenbrink by bonus.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Starachi versus Welsh should be interesting. I mean, I think it's more interesting to see how a true freshman can put up with Starachi's pace and busyness.
I didn't say real quick about Hepner. I remember watching his match with Julian Ramirez last month. It was a close loss. He lost 6-4. I did not see that a couple weeks ago he got teched 18-3 by Dean Hamidi.
Yeah.
Nice win for Dean.
I saw the result. I didn't see the match.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Yeah, Rocco Welsh, this is kind of where we talk about maybe Ohio State just not matching up well. And like you said, there's not a lot of people who do at this point. But, Rocco Welsh, I can't believe WrestleStat only has this a 7-2 match.
How about this? I'm gonna rattle off Ohio State's starting lineup, 125 through heavyweight, by what grade they're in, or what year of eligibility. Freshman, sophomore, senior, junior, sophomore, freshman.
The young team.
The last four guys are freshmen, and they're going against number 1, number 5, number 1, and number 1. That's a tough assignment.
Yeah. And hey, they got it done last week.
Yeah, I like the squad. I like the fight in their squad. I like the youth. I think the future's bright for them, but not on Friday night.
Yeah, so I think Carter by bonus. I think Bernie over Seth Shoemate. I think that's kind of an easy one.
Well, I think it's going to be it should be interesting if they put Rogotsky out. They're going to put Rogotsky out, or they're going to put Shoemate. I don't know. I might say it Rogotsky for this one. I mean, the duel won't be in doubt, and maybe not put your freshman out there against a 6-year senior.
Fair. But I'm going Truax either way.
Rogotsky leads in all these categories. His bonus rate's phenomenal. He might have the national lead in Tech Falls.
The national lead in Tech Fall. How can we find that out?
It's either I'll tell you right now. Pal.
He's got 10 falls.
Ryder Rogotsky is 4th in pins. That's what it is. Well, he has a 3rd most. He's tied for 4th. Gabe Solers 11, Wyatt Hendrickson 10, Kelvin Griffin 10, Ryder Rogotsky 9. And let's see. Okay, so it's falls, not techs. Yeah. Good freshman year. Originally committed to Navy. Late flip. Really late flip.
Imagine if Messenbrink was still at Cal Baptist.
Do you know that MJ Gatan and Messenbrink were committed to Cal Baptist?
It's kind of crazy. Do you think Messenbrink would be having the success he's having if he was still at Cal Baptist?
I think he'd still be really freaking good. it's tough to say. It's tough to say if he'd be this good. I mean, the fact of the matter is, um, the deeper the program you go to, the harder you have to fight to tread water in the room.
Yeah.
You know.
And iron sharpens iron. I mean, the number of tough guys around that weight in state college right now is bananas.
Yeah. So
Dake, Nolf. I mean, it's just Facundo.
Yeah. So.
All right. So I'm going. Either way, I'm
really
going
good.
Truax with this one.
Well, the next one's, you're going Truax, you're going Aaron Brooks, real big, and you're going Kirk Fleet. So
yeah, I'm not going Kirk Fleet real big, but Kirk has looked.
What do you have, a shutout?
No, I think Ohio State gets one somewhere, maybe Mendez.
The line is what, 24.5?
I haven't looked at it yet. It's going to change, though, so much.
Let me see. Why? Why is it going to change? Oh, because people betting on it?
Because there's so little action that when we're seeing more action move the line drastically.
Right. You're right.
How good has Kirk looked this year? I know he's only wrestled like 8 or 9 matches, but he has looked so good.
Yeah, really good. I mean, I love heavyweights who are active.
Yeah.
It's easy to root for, and that's another thing. It's another thing that makes Penn State easy to root for, easy to like viewability is, if Penn State was having the success that they're having, grinding out wins, but they're active, right? They have a heavyweight that shoots like a 25-pounder. It's easy to root for a Wyatt Hendrickson, who's always wrestling, a Tanner Sloan who's always wrestling, Greg Kirkfleet, who's always wrestling,
Yeah, no, 100%. Again, I think the success overall, and if you're not a Penn State fan, I get it. When you're a fan of any other program, I put up some questions from the fans. Here's one that I'll ask you from the fans. Which team will be the next team to win a national championship besides Penn State? And when do you think it happens?
I don't know when it happens. I mean, it's hard to negotiate.
Shout out J-Rod65 for that question, by the way.
J-Rod's an awesome dude.
Yeah, he's great.
That's a good dude in the wrestling community. He's a poster on the Iowa boards, and he went through Iowa's lineup the rest of the regular season and posted all the remaining matchups for each guy, which is pretty cool. Good. Sometimes you get really good content just from super fans, but I would have to say, to me, it's Iowa, Cornell, or Ohio State.
Yeah. Ohio State with that young lineup, you can make that argument. Crazy that we're saying that after, again, discussing a duel where Penn State wins 8, 9, or 10 matches.
Well, if you say, you got to take Penn State out of the equation because it's who will win other than Penn State. I don't see the Penn State train slowing down anytime soon. I mean, let's see. They have what they have now. They lose exactly 2, maybe 3 guys. They lose 2, maybe 3 guys. They lose Brooks, Bernie, and maybe Carter. So they're going to return 7 guys that are ranked top 12 already. And
by the way, if Carter doesn't come back, Facundo slides in.
5 of the top 5.
And if Carter slides out, Facundo can slide in.
Yeah, and Josh Barr will be top 12.
Yeah.
Josh Barr will be top 12. And they have, in the class of 2024, number 1, number 150, number 194, number 6, number 5, number 13. and in the class of 2015, they have 1, 5, 17, 27, 94. Nope, not 94, 62. Asher Cunningham, he's interesting.
Can we, since we talk about bias, can we acknowledge Jason Bryant's D2, D3 bias? I put out a thing that he loves.
I know that.
He loves to get.
Jason will go Big J on you quick.
Listen,
he'll go Big J on
you. He's very quick to defend D2 and D3, and I need to start putting D1 in more tweets because I put a graphic out that said Carter is now an NCAA best 60 in a row wins. Obviously, I'm talking D1. He quickly told me that the active leader is North Central's Robbie Presson with 78 wins in a row. Strachey's the active leader among streaks in D1. I always laugh. Like I'm people know I'm talking D1, but I don't specify it, so I leave the door open. I leave the door open for that.
Yeah. He'll Big J you.
All right, I'm excited to talk Michigan, Iowa because I have absolutely no bias. Iowa is a 3.5 point favorite in this duel. 8:30 Friday night, right after Penn State, Ohio State.
Back to back?
Yes, doubleheader, baby.
Okay. Number 5, Drake Ayala against number 12, Michael DiAugustino. I'm going Drake, although it's going to be a close match. It's going to be a competitive match.
It'll be competitive. I'm leaning Drake. I think could win it all this year. Drake looks.
I've been doing pick for a million years on shows, and the fans are so informed. The fans that watch these shows are super fans, and they're informed, and they know the resumes of the guys, and they know what the tendencies are, and they know there's a difference between can and will. Michael DiAugustino can beat Drake Ayala, but the pick is Drake Ayala.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think
there was a Hawkeye fan razzing me.
Shocker.
Because on the message boards before the Iowa duel, I said, yeah, maybe Glazier could beat Silas Allred, but the pick got to be Allred at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Glazier beats Allred, and he's like, I told you so. You guess you're not so smart. But the pick is Ayala.
Yeah, no, I go Drake.
The pick at 133, number 4, Ragusin, number 18, Schriever. The pick is Ragusin. He's been on a tear. He just beat Nagao. He's undefeated and has been putting up a lot of points, a lot of bonus points as well. So
I've been waiting for Ragusin to have a year like this since he started in 2021. This is just...
I didn't. He comes from Izzy's School of Hard Knocks. The kid is a banger, brawler, fighter, scratcher. I love that about him. I loved it about him.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he had the talent, and he's proven that he does. And so, now he's proven that he has the talent and the toughness, and I'm a believer. So,
by the way, he not only just pinned Nagao, he majored Buzakis 15-6.
Yep,
that was a big win.
Yep. Absolutely. That was a statement. That was a win you can bookmark to say, okay, this kid's for real.
Yeah. Yes, I'm going Ragusin. The pick is Ragusin.
Yeah, there was a time that I thought, and that time was probably a month ago, but there was a time that I thought Ragusin would be like, let me give a comp. I don't know, a perennial bubble guy, like blood round guy, right? And now it's like, man, he can make the semis.
Yeah. All right, so 3-3 going into 41. You have number 1 Real Woods against
No, not
Sergio
3-3,
Lemley.
6-0.
No, we took Drake.
Yeah, Drake. Oh yeah, right. 3-3, Real Woods. Sergio Lemley is scrappy. Super 32 champ. That's what kind of pedigree he has. But he's a true freshman against a 6-year senior, or whatever he is. And the number 1 guy in the country. I'll go regular decision.
This is an interesting duel, too, because, WrestleStat has it 16-15, Iowa over Michigan.
16-15.
The betting line is 3.
If you go chalk, with the picks that, and it won't happen. It never happens. There's always an upset somewhere in there from either team, most usually from Iowa. And that's what I said about Penn. That's what I said about the Nebraska duel too. I think, did we do that together? That preview show?
I think we did, yeah.
But it's like, if you go through the list of Nebraska, Iowa, I had like Nebraska by like 2 points. But intangibles, I was going to steal a match or two that you don't think they are. And that's the way I feel it'll be here too. In a duel that if you go chalk, it's going to come down to bonus points. I think Iowa probably steals one that they didn't expect, like most people didn't expect.
Steals a match or bonus?
Steals a match.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going Real Woods decision as well. He again, we talked about him in style points. Real's the guy who's going to go out and get the win.
So 6-3 Iowa. I'm going to go Gomez. I just go regular decision, but he's been wrestling. On the first word on Monday, I talked about body language, and I talked about 6-year seniors and how they're like, to me, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but to me, like 75% of them, 75% of these guys are 5th or 6th years. They're like going through the motion and like winning 4-2. Not Gomez. Gomez, 175 years old, and he's putting up 15 points a match.
Well, I guess we'll get there in a couple matches. But Shane Griffith is who you're talking about.
Yeah. Shane Griffith. I didn't not ripped on him, but I criticized him a little. Like, listen, Shane, you can take down Terrell Barraclaw, bud. I know you can.
So it's 6-6 going into 57, and now we get Franek and Luan.
Yeah, wake me up when overtime starts. Fast forward to this match should start in right-outs.
How many total points are in this match? Over under 8?
3. There's 3 points in this match.
Escaped versus 2 escapes?
Yes. Precisely.
All right, so who gets it?
Escapes and probably a routing time point. Give me Franek.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go Franek too. He just beat Will Luan. I guess last year beat him.
Now here's another one, right? Caliendo, number 6, Amin, number 10, recently dropped. And before the season, you'd certainly have Amin higher, and you would probably pick Amin. But like Caliendo, just body language. Caliendo looks fresh, excited to be out there. Amin looks like he's in a slump. So give me Caliendo.
Yep, I agree with that. Caliendo, 65.
But Amin, here's the thing about Amin. Amin is a dog. And as you know, as much as I criticize Shane this week, he is a dog. They'll be all right. They'll be all right come NCAA time. But they just look not enthused right now.
Yeah. Oh, that leads into the very important 74. You got Shane Griffith versus Patrick Kennedy. Now you got at Michigan, so give Shane a little bit of an edge there. But you do have, like you were saying, a bit of a lull, it seems, from Shane. What's your take on this match?
My take is that Shane's a winner, and I might be, and I'm pretty close with Shane, right? Like I love the kid, but I also might be the world's biggest Patrick Kennedy fan. He's on my fantasy team. I think I might have took him first round. And I think Patrick is more offensive than Shane. I mean, I don't think that's a stretch at all. I think that's very obvious. But I think Shane gets a counter takedown. So I will take Shane close.
Shane has not let any opponent score more than 3 points on him all season. He gave up 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 2 points, 1 point, 3 points, 2 points, 1 points, none, 3 points, none.
That's incredible.
It is. And so it's like on one hand, you see the body language, you see that, but like you said, Shane's a winner. Like Shane is he's a gamer, and he's somebody who, winners win, as our buddy Felters likes to say.
Yeah. So as much as like perception is like Shane isn't wrestling good and he's not scoring a lot of points, it's one thing to not score a lot of points. It's another thing to beat the guy. And I think it's really difficult. I think Shane finds a way.
Wow. Okay. I think this is a toss-up match, and I'm going to lean Shane because of Michigan. Because it's at Michigan, I think there's a bit of a...
I'm losing my way here. So 3-3, 6-3 Iowa, 6-6, 9-6 Iowa, 12-6 Iowa, 12-9 I have it with 3 bouts to go.
Wow. All right, so let's keep going. So now I got 84.
Number 19, Jaden Bullock against unranked Aiden Riggins. There's a little talk about Aiden Riggins on the Hawkeye Report right now about next year and him figuring it out and him being successful going forward, which I think certainly can be a thing. I think he has the work ethic and the character and the talent. He's a really talented kid, but he's young and he's probably not in his ideal weight class. And I think Iowa probably knows that but says, listen, you're going to go through the ringer this year. It's going to be tough. You're going to be undersized. You're going to be young, inexperienced. And I think in the future he can be good.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If you're Iowa, do you use Gabe Arnold here? He wasn't listening to the probables. I'm just curious on your take. They used him in this exact position to go up to 84 against Iowa State. He's only been in 2 duels. I think he can still wrestle another one without his red shirt being pulled.
Well,
give me the brain take.
This is the brain take. If they want to win the duel, they wrestle Gabe Arnold. Now, that being said, that is if the duel plays out the way we just described.
Sure.
Right? If something happens and Iowa has a 6-point lead, well, they're going to have to need more than that, really. They're going to have to be up more than 6 going into 184 to make the decision on Gabe or not. But there's value in letting Riggins wrestle. There's value in him getting reps against a guy that's not, it's not who's Dustin Ply. It's not Parker Kekai. This is a guy that he could get a feel for and notch a win at Big Tens. There's very important. There's an importance here, and there's a confidence thing here. So the best option to win the duel is probably Gabe. The best long-term option, and for this postseason, is probably Aiden Riggins.
Do you think, give me a percentage that we see Gabe Arnold? I'll go 55.
I think Tom hates losing.
I think he hates losing, and I almost like the fact that he's not putting Gabe Arnold in the probables because they have this thing, like, you're not going to see this coming, as if everybody doesn't already see it coming.
Well, that's the probables before the Iowa State, though. I said, you got to wrestle Gabe Arnold.
Right.
And they did. I'm going to say 66% chance.
Well, I like that.
But only if the duel is in the balance. If Iowa has a huge lead, no. If it's getting dicey, if it's a 3-point, 4-point differential, I think Tom hates losing, and I think you'll see Gibb.
Okay. 97, you got Zach Lazier, Bobby Strigow.
Glazer's wrestling good, man. You know, you talk
This could
about
be the
coaches.
first bonus.
Yeah, well, we could see Ryland Rogers too. I'm not sure. It could be the first bonus, right? It could be the difference maker in a match, in a duel that might be a whole
It's
bunch.
the difference for WrestleStat. They said 16-15,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the only match they have bonus in. And they're saying
I want to hat tip the Iowa staff too, because you know the world of wrestling has gotten so recruit, and well, you get the results because you get the recruits, and Penn State doesn't. You don't walk onto campus. I don't care if you're the cadet world champ. You don't walk onto campus ready to win an NCAA title. AJ Ferrari didn't walk onto Oklahoma State's campus and was an NCAA champ. They made him into a champ. They developed, and as good as Penn State recruits, they develop all their guys. Zach Glazier is a testament to how Iowa has developed him, because he's come a long way. And that's what I was saying about Aiden Riggins. I could see Aiden Riggins having trajectory kind of like Zach Glazier.
interesting.
So yeah, I'm taking Glazier probably by bonus. Which could be the difference, because you're taking number 6 Lucas Davison over Bradley Hill, who's 28.
Do we see Ben? He is listed in the probables. And does that change things?
I would still take Davison. I just think that Ben gives him more of a fighting chance. Like Ben, I could see a scenario where Ben does it. Ben wins it, right? We just saw freshman Nick Feldman beat Davison. Maybe Ben could do it. I would still pick Davidson, but I feel no offense, I feel like Bradley Hill probably doesn't have a chance to pull off that win.
WrestleStat has it 9-3, Davison over Hill.
Yeah, something like that. I don't think it'll be that much, but 6-2.
So what's your final duel score? I lost track.
I got 16-15, Iowa, and there'll probably be an upset, and it'll be my final score is 19-12. 19-12 Iowa.
Oh, so you think they cover the 3?
Yes.
All right, that's Willie's pick of the week.
Mark it down.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great doubleheader. 6:30 and 8:30, Big Ten Network, back-to-back Friday Night Wrestling. Gotta love that.
Saturday there's not much. Edinburgh Open, Missouri Valley Open, Cal Poly Little Rock. Oh, you know what though? We do have also on Friday, Oklahoma State they've had a brutal stretch. Although Arizona State's dual squad they're not really built for duels, but Arizona State, Oklahoma State, Friday night. Some good ones there. Fig Spratley, Teamer Teague Travis. I guess the matchups aren't that great either, but it's interesting. Sunday, Penn, Harvard, Michigan State, Indiana, Wisconsin, Purdue. You could have Ramos and Barnett, which is 1-3 in the country. Ohio State, Rutgers, Northwestern, Minnesota, Oklahoma State, Missouri. Ooh, juicy.
When's that one?
Sunday at 2 p.m. We'll do it super quick. Ready? Number 7 Certain versus number 20 Spratley. Who you got?
Certain.
Fix over Moore, so 3-3. Edmund Jamison, that's 26 versus 8. Give me Jamison, 6-3. Joffrey versus Alvarez is a toss-up. Mahler is favored over Teague Travis. Number 1 Keegan O'Toole against number 3 Isaac Olejnik. That'll
be a good match. That's match duel, obviously.
It's a good duel. It's going to be really interesting. That's Sunday at 2. I think that's the best match on Sunday for sure. Illinois, Nebraska. Could see Cannon Webster wrestle Ridge Lovett. Illinois, me and Corby were talking this morning. Illinois could be sneaky solid next year. They really need a 125-pounder, but they'll have Lucas Bird back, Cannon Webster, Braden Scholes, Ed Ruth back for another year, Edmund Ruth. The Broncos will come back. It'll be a solid team.
Hey, you know what you didn't plug? Live tonight on Mat Scouts.
Live tonight on Mat Scouts, the battle for New Jersey, the 2 best teams in New Jersey. Number 2, Blair Academy against number 9, Del Barton. Love both programs. Live on Mat Scouts. Mario Mason. You guys remember Mario Mason? He's calling the duel for me tonight. He did it last year as well. He knows all the kids really well, and he really enjoys it. So he kicked ass. Because last year the Del Barton, oh my God, the atmosphere was amazing. It was at Del Barton last year, and the kids the student body was awesome, and it went right down to the wire.
But did we? But I can't remember. Did we get any great team deduction points or not?
We did not. I think it came
what
down
kind
to
of duel is that?
I know. Because I was last year at that time, I was at Battle at the Ballpark, Okie State, Michigan. And so I couldn't announce it. So Mario did it, and he's doing it again. But that's
right,
tonight.
Battle at that's tonight. It's 6:47, something like that I saw.
7. Yeah.
I love it. We get some good stuff coming up here. We're gonna get an updated crystal ball. We're gonna head into the postseason soon. Great month of duels coming up, and then we got a great postseason. We're in the thick of it, baby.
Did you decide if you're going to the NCAAs or not?
Pashada called me yesterday and said he has 2 potential suite tickets.
Let's go.
So that definitely helps the cause.
Yeah, make it 4. I'm in.
I'll see how many you can get. All right, that's all I got.
All right,
you got anything else?
It's gonna be a fun weekend of wrestling.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
What are you smoking any meats this weekend or what?
It's been so cold, and we're finally getting a little bit of a break. So I'm very excited for some non-snowy, non-rainy weather. Kind of want to do a brisket.
There you go.
Nice, juicy brisket.
And a boy. Do you know on Intermat, the Intermat forums, there's a whole thread of just pictures of people
really
smoking meats?
I'm gonna have to chime in there this weekend.
Oh yeah, it's like 20 pages of just meat pictures.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop in there this weekend.
Yeah,
all right, that's
all right,
Basch the Brain. Like, subscribe. You guys all rock.
And the beat goes on.